I've been saying this for a while, but the Nick Fuentes audience, the Groypers, are not always as forthcoming as they might seem. You see a lot of engagement, a lot of retweets, a lot of likes taking place specifically on Nick Fuentes' page, and a lot of the question I've always had is exactly, wait a minute, I don't see this much real engagement, I just see a lot of these retweets and likes, and what we're seeing here is that there's actually a new report here showing that that data is actually not correct. It's not true. The people that are actually liking or retweeting these things are bots, or at the very least, aren't real accounts, and somebody's in some way manipulating these things to improve the engagement to make it look as if he's far more popular than he is. So before we get into this story, just a quick reminder to like this video and to subscribe to the channel for more videos like this. So this is a very big deal because right now on social media, especially on Twitter, you have this inkling for people to kind of use that as a metric to say this is how popular you are, this is how important you are as a person, by looking at your numbers, by looking at who's following you, who's retweeting you. So I highly advise that you follow Data Republican on Twitter. She goes through all of these details in every single way that you would want to see it to show and prove unequivocally that Nick Fuentes is entirely involved in this kind of bot farming scheme to make his posts much more popular than they are. And it's not just, you know, like you would expect, maybe 300 likes here or there. I mean, we're talking about massive numbers. And really, it all started from particularly this tweet where Elon had said that Nick Fuentes is a Fed. Now, I want to give a little bit of context for that because the reason why Elon and other people have been saying this is because of the fact that Nick Fuentes actively was championing for January 6th. He was talking about going to the Capitol and breaking down barriers. And so, you know, that's what he was doing on that day. So Nick Fuentes went and replied to this tweet saying ratio, just that one word, and managed to, in like a record amount of time, get significantly more likes and everything than Elon did. It didn't make any sense at all. Like literally no account on Twitter is able to do numbers like this except for Elon. So it was like crazy that an account will be doing this. And of course his followers were using this to say, look at how popular Nick Fuentes is. And we'll talk a little bit more about that later. But that really wasn't actually what happened at all. So let's go ahead and go through this report. All right, so as you can see on this chart, let's go through this. You have Destiny, left-wing crazy person. You have Ian Carroll on the right. Hassan Piker is another left-wing lunatic. And then Elon, obviously trumping this account like crazy, right? So let's look at what we're seeing here. These are the most retweets basically in the first 30 minutes of a post going up. So usually there's some time that's needed for this to take place. But as you can see on this chart here in the darker orange line, that is Nick Fuentes literally outperforming Elon on retweets. That is what is happening right now. And then when the numbers are adjusted by per million followers, as you can see on this as well, the numbers become even more drastic. You see that it basically shows how much more his performance is outperforming them per million followers compared to everyone else. Just based off of the ratios of how everything is going, this is absolutely insane. Because what's funny is that when you actually take Elon's massive following on Twitter and look at his engagement per million, it's actually relatively low. He just has so many followers that he would outperform these people naturally. But that's what you're seeing here. It's basically the equivalent of having 10 people that follow you, but like 200,000 people are actually retweeting your stuff. Like it doesn't add up at all. So this next chart here shows who is actually retweeting the content. So on the chart to the left, in the bar graph there, you can see that this is the amount of just people that are actually retweeting in the first 30 minutes. And then to the right of that is what we want to focus on because these are repeat early retweeters, the same part that are, part of this other group. So basically 61% of people are the exact same accounts, every single time he posts a tweet. So this is showing the accounts that 61% of them are actually retweeting Nick Fuentes every single time within the first 30 minutes of him tweeting something out. So she also went in to look and see exactly who these accounts were per account and trying to see exactly where did they come from or did they have anything in their bio? Well, that would tell us exactly who these people are. Well, come to find out, and many of these accounts, and actually 92% of these accounts are literally anonymous accounts. In other words, they have no profile picture, they don't have a description, they've never tweeted anything out, and if you look at their retweets, all they have in their retweets are just retweets for Nick Fuentes. So these are clearly fake accounts, and only about 8% of those are actually ones that are Groyper accounts or his actual supporters. And what does that mean? That means that they have a profile picture to some degree. They have something in their description that says Groyper or America First, Crisis King, all the lies that they love to spread. That's all in there. And of course, you can also see on the left side that of the people that are his actual supporters, only about half of them really actually retweet within the first 30 minutes. So not even close to the amount of these other accounts, these fake accounts that are there too. So recently I uploaded a video talking about the accounts that are on Twitter and where they're based at. That's a new Twitter feature that allows us to see exactly where these accounts originate from, if they're in the United States or another country. And of course, we went through a lot of accounts that were not based in the United States. And the idea was that, well, we don't want to have people commenting on American politics that don't, well, live in America, especially if you're in Nigeria or something like Russia or something that's not even remotely close and has nothing to do with American politics, generally speaking. So I mentioned in that video at the end of it that a lot of people were saying that there were a lot of Nick Fuentes accounts that were fairly big that were based in Turkey and other places. And of course they all went on Twitter saying, that's a lie, that's not true, it's just a passport, or you guys are trying to pretend like that's the case. But, well, let's take a look here and see, because this chart actually shows us that exact data in showing that. So first of all, this is split into before Charlie Kirk's death and after Charlie Kirk's death. Why does that matter? It matters because that's a major political event. And we know that what the mainstream media has been trying to do is paint Nick Fuentes as the next Charlie Kirk. That's what they want him to be, because that's the easiest way for them to take the right down, is by pretending as if Nick Fuentes is a substantial figure on the right in and of itself. So we can see on this chart here that before his death, you had about 50-50 that were domestic and non-domestic, which I would still argue is a major problem. I mean, you don't want the guy that's talking about America first to have a 50-50 audience that are based in the United States and that are based elsewhere, right? And then after, look at the difference here. You actually have, a little bit more that are domestic, but still a significant portion that are not based in the United States. And then here's a quick chart view of the breakdown of the other countries that these people are in. And as you can see, many of them are based in the UK, and it's kind of a breakdown of a bunch of other ones, Canada, maybe a little bit more relevant, but India, Pakistan, like Nigeria, like these are the accounts that are being used now to promote Nick Fuentes content. And the reason why this matters is very simple. You're not allowed to do this on Twitter. According to their own rules, you can see that it says the coordinated use of inauthentic or anonymized accounts to artificially boost engagement, including bulk retweets, which is what we're seeing, repeated amplification, which is what we're seeing with the same accounts doing this, and cross coordination is explicitly prohibited. So very clearly against the rules to do this. And remember that Nick Fuentes is on Rumble, he's on other sites that and apparently are having the exact same issues where he's boosting these numbers to make himself look more relevant than he is. And of course, it's not to say that all of his engagement is artificial. I know for a fact that there are people out there that obviously support him. That is very clear. It's not like he has no audience. My point here is that a significant portion of that audience are not real people. That is being boosted to make it seem bigger than it actually is. But Nick Fuentes does a lot of this stuff on his own, right? I mean, he is regularly telling people to retweet his own things or retweet somebody else. And you can see that right here, that there are many situations where he told his followers to boost specific posts by himself or other people, where he says, retweet this, retweet me, of him. Apparently reports of him DMing people and telling them to retweet his posts, maybe some bigger accounts, to try and, get some more engagement on his stuff. So this guy is very much so trying to manipulate the results of what's happening and trying to get his audience to engage with the content more than just the normal person that just posts good content and hopes that people will actually do the right thing. So here are some of the logs of him actually talking about this, saying retweet, retweet. You can see this over and over. And at the bottom there, Andrew Torba, that's the guy that's the CEO of Gab, which funnily enough, Nick Fuentes doesn't even use Gab anymore. So that's like kind of a waste now. But yeah, I mean, just it's constant in all of this. Now, this report goes on and definitely gets into more detail about exactly why Nick Fuentes shouldn't be trusted even more than what I've talked about on this channel before and many other ways. But I highly advise you go check her out, Data Republican, on Twitter, with the full report, the full breakdown, going through all the numbers, all the charts. So if you ask me in the video or say something in the comments about, show me the evidence, show me the proof that he did that, well, all the numbers are there. All the links are there. All this stuff is in the actual report on Twitter. Like I said, Data Republican, check it out there. But with that being said, let me know what you think down in the comments about this artificial engagement. And let me know what you think. Should this person be allowed on Twitter when they're manipulating the rules and lying to people to try and pretend as if they're this big person? It matters because if the left thinks that Nick Fuentes is very important, what winds up happening is they're going to use him as the poster boy. They're going to say the right has replaced Charlie Kirk with Nick Fuentes, and we'll lose the midterms. We're going to lose every election. between him and Candace Owens, this is not good for the right at this moment. So we need to get these people out of here and not try to promote them any more than what already we've seen people doing, like Crowder and everything else. So let me know what you guys think about that. But once again, remember to like this video and to subscribe to the channel for more videos like this. And I'll catch you guys on the next one.